Commander R.S. Rathore was commissioned in the Indian Navy in 1988. In 2001, he was appointed in the Service Selection Board to select officers for the armed forces. He did 2 tenures in SSB as senior GTO. His 7-year stint as a director has helped him to assist candidates in selection centers of Bhopal, Bangalore, Coimbatore and Allahabad. He took premature retirement in 2010 and started RS Defence Select Academy. His previous experience has helped him to guide students to prepare for SSB interviews and written examinations. Today, we bring a discussion on Indo-China relations with Commander Sir, keeping in mind the interest of SSB candidates.
You want to know about Indo-China relations? So when we are discussing Indo-China relations, let's keep in mind that China, amongst other countries like Vietnam, Laos, Cuba and North Korea, is a single party communist state. The majority population is Han Chinese. It's the largest ethnicity, nearly about 1 billion. So though the population of China is about 1.3 billion, that means to you most of the Chinese may look same, but they are not, right? So Indian population is nearly getting same, but we are living in just about 1/3 the area of the Chinese geographical area. So and we also know that in case some immigrants wants to land up in a country, they would rather choose India than China. So India is a happy democratic country, wherein China is having territorial disputes with almost 14 countries it shares border with, and several other countries. So, and India and China have had relations for last 2000 years, and not just because of the love of the silk by Indian women. It was also for other trades, and also for spreading Buddhism from India to other Eastern countries. Though we could not sell Buddhism to China, and neither we are able to sell much to China, because of which there is a large trade deficit. If I tell you, we sell just about cotton, some machinery, some petroleum products, and the total export that we do to China is just about $8.86 billion as of 2015. In 2015, the imports by India were nearly $52.5 billion, wherein the export by India was just $8.86 billion. So if we see in the number terms, we have a trade deficit of nearly 6 times. That means India needs to export 6 times more than China just to be equal in the trade.
True that the key irritant bedeviling ties between India and China are unresolved border problems, second, ballooning trade deficits, and adding up the new issue, all-weather friendship between China and Pakistan.
Yeah, quite rightly said. Because let's tackle the first problem first, the border dispute between India and China. See, India and China have nearly 4,056 kilometers of border, and we have 5 states like Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir, and then here Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh, which are sharing border with China. Now, basic problem is that way back before India's independence, McMahon Line was drawn by Sir Henry McMahon, and this was a treaty signed between then UK and Tibet, which India also agrees with, but China does not. Because that time India and Tibet were 2 sovereign states. They agreed upon. Now that Tibet is China, and therefore China does not agree to that McMahon Line. Rather, it says that it agrees to the treaty between UK and Qing dynasty way back in 1890, wherein McMahon Line treaty was in 1940. So if you see the map, probably we'll come to know it much better. So let's go and see the maps on a large screen, we'll know it better. About the border dispute, the main dispute between India and China is in this Aksai Chin area and here in Arunachal Pradesh. Because this red line that we are seeing is the McMahon Line, which was based on principle of highest watershed. Next slide, I'll just get you the next slide. Okay, so here we can clearly see the McMahon line in the map. Okay. Now.
Sir, we're well aware about the Sino-Indian War that took place in 1962. Thereafter, the Chola incident that took place in 1967 and the 1987 Indian skirmish issue, Indian-China skirmish issue that went on. So, sir, the recent talk is about the Doklam issue that happened in September 2017. Could you please tell us about the standoff between India and China in respect to Doklam?
Yeah, see, Doklam is a plateau in Bhutanese territory. So, this is Bhutan, this is the Sikkim state of India, and this is again India, and this territory goes to Arunachal Pradesh, and this is China. So, if you see the next slide, this is Chumbi Valley, and this is that Doklam plateau we are talking about. Now, China believes that this is the line that borders between them and Bhutan, wherein Bhutan claims this to be their territory. Now, why is, even though Doklam is not within India, why do we are so interested in the Doklam plateau? Because this is quite at height and it overlooks the Siliguri corridor. Now, Siliguri corridor is also known as a chicken neck. Why? Because this is our gateway to the seven sister northeast states. So, Siliguri corridor, if you see in the next slide, this is about 130 kilometers from this Doklam plateau, and at its narrowest point it is about 17 kilometers wide. So this becomes a very strategic position for any country which is occupying this area, because it clearly overlooks the chicken neck. If you see the next slide, see with clearly if you see a picture taken by a aircraft, this is quite at height and these are plain. So if any country, say in this case China, places its missiles, radars on this plateau, then they will be able to take charge. Okay, so if we see this slide, this Doklam plateau is quite at height with respect to these plains. This is the Siliguri corridor. So when any movement is taking place by the Indian forces or trade between our rest of the states with the northeast states of India, any country which has placed its guns, missiles, radar on this higher point is clearly an advantage. So India does not want to change the strategic position of forces and allow China to come up to Bhutan and have a clear view of the Siliguri corridor from this plateau. So what happened was that China built up its highway till the Chumbi Valley, and clearly this is the higher ground, and they then started building up road to the Doklam plateau. And we can clearly see these tracks, yellow lines. These are the tracks which Indians take when supplying to either Nathula Pass, where Indian forces are perched, or these paths are taken by the Chinese patrols to come up to this area. Let me show you the next slide. So if we see Chumbi Valley, this road ends here, and they wanted to, let me go back please. So the road ended here. Now they wanted to build a road from here through Bhutan to the Doklam plateau, which India resisted, and it is here that the standoff took place between India and China. So we can clearly see Nathula, Chumbi Valley, Bhutan. Okay.
So we have seen that Sino-India border has not witnessed much disruption as compared to Indo-Pak borders, as the rapid filtration and rapid firing has been done. So how Indo-Sino border has been so friendly?
Okay, see, it was achievable because of the border defense cooperation agreement between India and China, which took place way back in 2013. Since then, both sides have decided that they will not use any military power against each other. So even when the two forces were against standoff with each other, they are not carrying any weapons. It was just the physical standoff that was taking place. And if we see the past, it's a mountainous terrain, very hilly. In addition, the weather is really bad. Till recently, the infrastructure wasn't good enough for a large-scale conflict. Now, after this border defense cooperation agreement, both sides have realized, and they have been disciplined enough not to use weapons against each other. In addition, I don't see that though they might remain wary of each other, the two forces, that is Indian and Chinese forces, may remain wary of each other. I don't see any large-scale conflict taking place because of the reason mentioned before. Plus, one more thing, that China has a lot at stake with India. With so much of trade taking place from China to India, it cannot have a domestic audience in India against Chinese goods. So it is never going to have enmity shown towards India.
Trade deficit that we have with China.
Yeah, the ballooning trade deficit that we have with China is an issue for which we can use trade barriers. They can start reducing its trade deficit by introducing non-tariff barriers against unimportant items initially, and then slowly increase the list of items that we can have, for which we can have non-tariff barriers. You would be well aware that what are non-tariff barriers, are you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So some of the non-tariff barriers would include quantity restrictions, quotas,
Yeah.
licensing procedures. Then we would have foreign exchange restrictions, state trading, preferential arrangements, technical and administrative regulations, consular formalities.
Correct.
Should India address all-weather friendship between China and Pakistan?
Well, if you see the history, Islamic country and including Pakistan have never continued for long with any country, be it Russia, be it USA. They've shared them for their own religious fundamentalist gains or just to satisfy their domestic audience at home. So this all-weather friendship which is going with Pakistan and China, I personally feel that should continue for long enough so that this economic corridor builds up, brings some prosperity to Pakistan and gives them enough exposure so that they can come out of the petty issues of religious fundamentalism. Ultimately, we'll have a prosperous neighbor and less trouble from Pakistan. But on the political front, we should oppose it. Why? Because they are building this corridor in Pak-occupied Kashmir, which is truly India's territory. So once we oppose that, we'll gain some leverage. This leverage gained in opposing the economic corridor will benefit us in other places, in trade or in other border disputes.
China relations moving ahead in respect when we talk about the future?
Apart from resolving their borders dispute diplomatically, India should tie up with other maritime powers of the region like Australia, Japan, and the middle powers like Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, and we should form a grouping along with US. This grouping will put up enough pressure on China so that it cannot have its own ways either in South China Sea or in the case of territorial disputes with its neighboring countries. That is part one of disputes, border dispute. Second part, of course, the trade should continue. Rather, when Xi Jinping visited India and he had a trade relationship with India on a larger term, we should ask China to invest more in India in infrastructure. That way, China will have a lot more at stake in India, and the leverage gained out of it can be used in the world forums for gaining mileage in case of any contentious issues. Now, coming to the third part that now which we are moving ahead with is military exercises with China. So we should continue to have military exercises with China like we had in Pune in 2016, hand in hand exercise. We should also have exercises like in which both the armies can help during crisis like humanitarian aid and relief, etc., where they can work together to provide humanitarian relief and aid in the affected parts, whether it is in India or China. So once these exercises continue, more stability will come into relation between the two forces, and two large nations will move ahead peacefully towards a prosperous world. I think that should be the take. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.